Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Tuesday, October 26, 2021. Today I'm going to recap last night's Monday Night Football game, NBA and NHL games, and I'll look ahead to the games tonight. World Series Game 1 between the Astros and the Braves. I made my pick for the World Series yesterday, and on today's show, I'll make a pick for Game 1. NFL Power Rankings, news and notes. We'll recap last night's episode of Dancing with the Stars and my best bet of the day. All right, first we will do a Monday Night Football recap. It was an ugly game, but it was a close game. Saints over the Seahawks, 13-10. As the Saints go to 4-2, Seattle 2-5. Jameis Winston, 19-35, 222 yards and a touchdown. Geno Smith, 12-22, 267 yards and a touchdown. Alvin Kamara was a monster in this game. 20 carries for 51 yards on the ground and 10 receptions for 128 yards and a touchdown through the air. So the Saints getting the big win on the road on Monday Night Football. All right, now move on to the NBA. We will recap last night's games, and we will look ahead to tonight. Celtics over the Hornets, 140-129. Overtime, so best bet was a loser. Celtics 2-2, Charlotte 3-1. Jason Tatum, 41 points and 8 assists. Miles Bridges, 25 points for Charlotte. Bucks over the Pacers, 119-109. Milwaukee 3-1, Indiana 1-3. Giannis Antetokounmpo 30 points, 10 boards, 9 assists. Malcolm Brogdon 25 points and 7 assists. Hawks over the Pistons 122-104. Hawks 2-1, Detroit 0-3. Trae Young 32 points and 9 assists. Sadiq Bey at 21 and 7 boards for the Pistons. Nets over the Wizards 104-90. Wizards 2-1, Nets 2-2. Kevin Durant 25 points and Bradley Beal 19. Heat over the Magic 107-90. Miami 2-1. Magic 1-3. Jimmy Butler 36 points. Jalen Suggs 15 for Orlando. Bulls over the Raptors 111-108. Bulls 4-0. Raptors 1-3. DeMar DeRozan 26 points and 6 assists. OJ Anunoby 22 for Toronto. Pelicans over the Timberwolves 107-98. Pelicans 1-3, Minnesota 2-1. Brandon Ingram 27 points. Karl Anthony Towns 32 points, 14 boards, 7 assists. Cavaliers over the Nuggets 99-87. The Cavs 2-2, Denver 2-1. Kevin Love 22 points. Nikola Jokic 24 points, 19 boards. Clippers over the Trailblazers 116-86. Clippers 1-2, Portland 1-2. Luke Kennard, 23 points, and C.J. McCollum, 20 points and 4 assists. All right, looking ahead to tonight, 7:30 on TNT, you have the 76ers and the Knicks from Madison Square Garden. My projections for this game, Knicks by 3 total, 226-35. That is counting the absence of Ben Simmons, and it's Knicks by 1.5. And the total is 217.5. I'm taking the over. I think it's a higher scoring game than people think. The Knicks offense will be better. 8 o'clock, the Warriors and the Thunder. I project the Warriors by 17 total, 219.1. Meanwhile, it's 9.5 and 223.5. I'm laying it with the Warriors. Getting the Warriors under 10 at OKC is golden. 8:30, Rockets Mavericks. I project the Mavs by 16 total, 207.65. Meanwhile, it's 10.5 and 221. Big edge on the Mavs. Big edge on the under. I'm taking the under. Lakers Spurs. I project the Lakers by 6.5 total, 224. Meanwhile, it's 5 and 221.5. These are pretty close numbers, but I'm going to take the over. And last but not least, 10 o'clock TNT, the Nuggets and the Jazz. I project the Jazz by 8 total, 199.7. Meanwhile, it's 7 and 219. I'm taking the under. Both these teams have been really good defensively. And the Nuggets were that was just a bad loss. The two worst losses I've seen from teams this year is the Nuggets last night losing at home to the Cavs and the Knicks losing at home to Orlando. I think those are two of the worst losses of the year so far in terms of a solid team losing to a really, really bad team. And then we saw a couple of, bad teams beat good teams. Like, the Raptors killed the Celtics, and we saw the Kings beat Portland. But yeah. Oh, and then we saw the Cavs beat Indiana, too. That's another one. Indiana, I think, is a little bit better than we think. They just have had a tough schedule. So, yeah, the NBA picks for tonight with some little chatterbuzz right there as well. Now it's hockey time. We will go over the results from last night, and we will look ahead to tonight. Sabres over the Lightning 5-1. Buffalo 4-1-1. Tampa 2-3-1. Number 3 started game with the goal and an assist. Robert Hagg. The number 2 started game with the goal. Drake Cagula. And the number 1 started the game with 35 saves on 36 shots. Craig Anderson. Capitals over the Senators 7-5. The Caps 4-0-2. Ottawa 2-4-0. The number 3 started game with 2 goals. Alex Ovechkin. Number 2 started game with 3 goals and an assist. Drake Batherson with a hat trick, and the number 1 start of the game with a hat trick of his own, T.J. Oshie. Panthers over the Coyotes 5-3. The Panthers are undefeated 6-0-0. Arizona 0-5-1. The number 3 started game with the goal, Joe Thornton. Number 2 started game with 2 assists, Brendan Montour. Number 1 started game with the goal and assist, Jonathan Huberdeau. Flames over the Rangers 5-1. The Flames 3-1-1. Rangers 4-2-1. The number 3 started game with the goal and assist, Mikhail Backlund. Number 2 started game with the goal and assist, Blake Coleman. Number 1 started the game with 28 saves on 29 shots, Jacob Markstrom. Hurricanes over the Maple Leafs 4-1. Canes an undefeated 5-0-0. Toronto 2-4-1. The number 3 started game with 2 assists, Jacob Slavin. Number 2 started game with the goal, Steven Lorentz. And the number 1 started game with 24 saves on 25 shots against his former team, Frederick Anderson. Blue Jackets over the Stars 4-1. The Blue Jackets 4-2-0. Dallas 3-3-0. Number 3 started game with the goal and assist, Oliver Bjorkstrand. Number 2 started game with the goal and the assist, Gregory Hoffman. And the number 1 started game with 31 saves on 32 shots, Elvis Merzlikins. And the Blues over the Kings 3-0. The Blues are undefeated 5-0-0. LA 1-4-1. The number 3 started game with the assist, Robert Thomas. Number 2 started game with 34 saves on 34 shots, backup goalie Ville Husso. And the number 1 started the game with 2 goals, Vladimir Tarasenko. Now we look ahead to tonight. 7 games deep. 7 o'clock, you have the Flames and the Devils. The Devils are minus 122. The Flames are plus 104. Over under 6. Overs minus 102. Unders minus 120. Flames plus 1/2 is minus 265. Devils minus 1/2 is plus 215. I like Calgary, but my biggest fear, second of a back-to-back, off a big win against a team that had a 4-game winning streak. Riding into it was off a long road trip. So it's a good spot for Calgary last night. And I think I took them on the show yesterday as well. For here, let's go with the over. I don't think Markstrom's going to play a second of a back-to-back. So, I'm going to take over 6 and minus 102. Lightning Penguins. The Lightning are minus 136. The Penguins are plus 116. Over under 6. Overs minus 105. Unders minus 115. Tampa minus 1/2 is plus 184. Pittsburgh plus 1/2 is minus 225. I think there's something a little off with the Lightning right now. I really do. I'm going to take Pittsburgh plus 116 at home. And potentially getting Sidney Crosby back. 8 o'clock, ESPN, Golden Knights Avalanche. Sean McDonough on the play-by-play. Analyst, probably, I would assume, Brian Boucher. And then sideline, maybe Emily Kaplan. The Avs are minus 178. Vegas is plus 150. Over under 6, minus 110 each way. Vegas plus 1/2 is minus 170. Avalanche minus 1/2 is plus 140. I'm taking Vegas. They're on the road at Colorado. I just think that they're going to rebound at some point. So give me Vegas plus 150 to knock off the Avalanche at home. 8:30, the Sharks and the Preds. The Preds are minus 138. The Sharks are plus 118. Over under 6. Overs minus 102. Unders minus 120. Sharks plus 1F is minus 235. Nashville minus 1F is plus 190. I like the under in this game, minus 120. 10 o'clock, Wild Canucks. The Wild are minus 124. The Canucks are plus 106. Over under 5.5. Overs minus 115. Unders minus 105. Minnesota minus 1F is plus 205. Vancouver plus 1F is minus 255. I'm going to go under 5.5 at minus 105. Jets, Ducks. The Jets are minus 146. The Ducks are plus 124. Over under 5.5. Overs minus 115. Unders minus 105. Jets minus 1F is plus 184. Ducks plus 1F is minus 225. I'm going to go under 5.5 at minus 105. And last but not least, the Kraken hosting the Canadians. The Kraken are minus 126. Montreal's plus 108. Over under 5.5 minus 110 each way. Montreal plus 1F is minus 240. Seattle minus 1F is plus 195. I'm going to go over 5 at minus 110 in this one. All right, World Series. It begins tonight. We have the Astros hosting the Braves. Joe Buck, John Smoltz, Ken Rosenthal on the call. I think J.P. Morosi might be involved a little bit this year as well. 3 World Series in 5 years now for the Astros, and it's the Braves' first one in 26 years. I made my pick of Astros in 6 on yesterday's show with exclamation on yesterday's show as well. For this game, it's Charlie Morton and Framber Valdez. Houston's minus 136. Atlanta's plus 116. Over under 8. Overs minus 118. Unders minus 104. Braves plus 1F is minus 182. Astros minus 1F is plus 150. To kick off the World Series, I'm going to go under 8 minus 104. I'm going to do a little contrarian play here. I think both these pitchers have been solid throughout the playoffs. Worst case scenario, I get a push. I'm going to say that this is a 5-2 game. Maybe the Astros come out on top because they're home and they're favored. But I'm going to go under 8 at minus 104 as the play for tonight. I'm going to say the Astros take game 1 just in general. Although I won't be surprised one bit if Atlanta wins this game or this series. NFL power rankings, I haven't done them in a while. I'm going to go from 32 to 1, as I normally would do. We're almost at halfway. We're going to do it next week, too. And next week, I'm going to go a little bit broader on these. 32, the Detroit Lions. They're 0-7. They're awful. Came close a couple times against the Ravens, against the Vikings, even last week against the Rams. But they have a look of a team that's tanking. Number 31 is the Houston Texans. They're 1-6. They got the opening week win against the Jaguars. They might be the Jaguars of last year, where they get the week 1 win and just lose out the rest of the way after being thought out as the worst team in the league. Deshaun Watson, trade rumors everywhere. Number 30 is the New York Jets. They are 1-5. The win coming over the Titans. Number 29 is the Miami Dolphins. They are 1-5, and their win came over New England in week 1, ironically enough. Number 28, the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are also 1-5. Their win came over the therefore Miami Dolphins. It looks like the Urban Meyer stuff blew over. Number 27 is the Philadelphia Eagles. They are 2-5. Their wins came week 1 over the Falcons, and I want to say it was 5 over the Panthers. Number 26 is the New York Football Giants. They're also 2-5. Their wins came in overtime against the Saints, and then last week a demolition of the Panthers in that second half. Eagles and Giants, real quick. They're 2 young quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts and Daniel Jones, respectively. Have been up and down throughout the year. Daniel Jones had the concussion. That set him back a little bit, and I think is what caused his poor performance against the Rams. And Jalen Hurts does some things good, some things bad, and has good weeks and has bad weeks. He's just so inconsistent. Number 25 is the Washington Professional Football Team. They are also 2-5, so the seller of the NFC East is a 3-way dog hole. They have the tiebreaker over the Giants because that's one of their wins, and then their other win came against Atlanta. And you could argue that Washington's a couple plays away from being 0-7. Number 24 is the Denver Broncos. They're 3-4 after starting year 3-0 against getting their 3 wins against 3 of the 6 worst teams in the league in the Jets, Giants, and Jaguars. And then they've just fallen apart since then, and Teddy Bridgewater had the concussion. That's certainly hurt them. Number 23 is the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle has never been the same since Russell Wilson got hurt. They lose at home to the Saints despite covering. And their 2 wins came with Russell Wilson, obviously. One against the Colts. And then the other one was against, I want to say, it was on the road. I think it was at San Francisco because they're 0-3 at home. Number 22 is the Chicago Bears. They are 3-4 on the season. Their wins came against the Bengals, at the Raiders, and home against the Lions. 21 is the Atlanta Falcons. They've rallied back to 500 with wins over the Jets, Giants, and now against the Dolphins. Number 20 is the New England Patriots. They are 3-4. Their wins are over the Texans and 2 over the Jets. So maybe they're a little worse than we think. Number 19 is the Carolina Panthers, 3-4 on the year. They're literally the NFC's version of Denver. Their wins came against the Saints, the Jets, and Houston on the Thursday night. Number 18 is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are 3-3, or is it 2-4? They're 2-4. They probably should be 3-3 though. It wasn't for a couple of injuries. They had the big win against the Bills. Or no, they are 3-4. Or 3-3. I think they are 3-3. I thought they were 2-4. They're 3-3. That's my bad. The ones came against Seattle, Denver, and Buffalo. So they have one really good win in there. Number 17 is the New Orleans Saints. They are 4-2. The ones came against Green Bay. Good win. At Seattle, no Russell Wilson. Watch the professional football team. They're not good. And their other win came... The Saints have really been Jekyll and Hyde this year. Trying to think of their other win. So they beat the Packers They beat the Seahawks. They beat the Washington professional football team. And they have one more win under their belt. I can't... Oh, it was at New England. Number 16 is the San Francisco 49ers. I don't know why I have them 16. But maybe it's because I feel like they should be better than the record of 2-4. But I just think they're better than that. They've had a lot of injuries and stuff, so they're better than that. Like, their wins came against Detroit and... were they 2-0? I really don't remember if they were 2-0 or not, but they beat the Lions and then they should have knocked off Green Bay. They were 2-0 and they hosted Green Bay. I'm trying to think of the other team that they beat. It wasn't a division game, I know that, but they did knock somebody else off too. Let's see here of who the 49ers defeated. Like, I can't believe that in this exercise I'm cheating here. Their other win came at the Chargers. I know that's a preseason game. Oops. At the Eagles. Okay, yeah, that was week 2. I remember that game. Number 15 is the Cleveland Browns. That's another team that had a lot of injuries. They are 4-3. Their wins are against Denver. They beat the Texans. They beat I know they did not beat the Chiefs in the opener. So they beat the Texans, they beat the Bears, they beat the Vikings, and they beat Denver. But yeah, let's hope that their guys get well soon because they're fun to watch when they're healthy. Number 14 is the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, the Chiefs are outside the top 10. They're 3-4. Their wins came, I just mentioned, against the Browns. They probably should have beaten the Ravens in week 2. They beat the Washington professional football team 2 weeks ago. Or was that last week, week and a half ago? And their other game that they won was at Philly. So beating up on the NFC East. Number 13 is Indianapolis Colts. They've had a nice, respectable turnaround. They are 3-4. Their ones came against the 49ers. The Texans. They should have beaten the Ravens, but they didn't. And the other game they won... I don't feel like it was against Jacksonville. It was against the Dolphins. That was close. Number 12 is the Minnesota Vikings. They are 3-3 right now, about to host Dallas on Sunday Night Football. Their wins came against Detroit. Arizona was a close call. They beat Seattle. And they beat the Panthers. Number 11 is the Las Vegas Raiders. They are, I want to say they're 5-2. So they brushed the Gruden thing off. They had some really good wins. They had the Monday night win against the Ravens. They killed the Eagles. They beat the Broncos. They beat the Dolphins. And then they beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh. Those are some nice wins. Number 10 is Los Angeles Chargers. Coming off the bye and coming off what was a really, really awful performance at the Ravens. Their other loss came on a game-winning kick by Greg Zuerlein and the Cowboys, or else they'd be 5-1. But their wins came against the Browns in that high-scoring affair a couple of weeks ago, against Washington opening week, at the Chiefs, which was a big one, and then they beat the Raiders on Monday Night Football. Number 9 is the Baltimore Ravens, who are 5-2 on the year, coming off that really bad loss against Cincinnati, but they killed the Chargers. They beat the Colts on Monday Night Football. They beat the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. They lose to the Raiders on Monday Night Football. They've had a ton of primetime games this year. I feel like I have watched a ton of Ravens games this year. And their other wins were at Detroit on that kick by Justin Tucker. And then their other win was at Denver. Number 8, the Cincinnati Bengals, a very pleasant surprise in the AFC, who are 5-2. Their 2 losses were each by 3 points at the Bears and then home Green Bay in a game which they could have won if their kicker can make a kick. So they're a couple plays away from being 6-1, or even 7-0, but more so 6-1. But their losses, like I said, were home Green Bay and at the Bears, each by 3 points. So the NFC North beating on the Bengals by a combined 6 points. And then their wins at Baltimore. That was the beatdown that we saw a couple days ago. They beat the Jaguars. They come from behind to beat them on Thursday Night Football. They beat the Vikings in Week 1. They killed the Lions, which they should be doing. So they played their NFC opponents, or the NFC division already. They have one more NFC opponent later in the year in the schedule. And then the other Bengals win was at the Steelers, which was an impressive win for them. Number 7, the Green Bay Packers. Have we seen a quieter 6-1? Have we legit seen a quieter 6-1? I would say no. Devontae Adams has COVID. That's really bad news. We talked about that on the show yesterday. And they have a hard one coming up at the Cardinals. They haven't lost since their stinker in Week 1 against the Saints in Jacksonville. Remember, that game got moved to Jacksonville because of a hurricane. And their wins at the Bengals, at the Bears, home Washington, home Lions on Monday Night Football, home against the Steelers. I feel like they've had a lot of home games so far this year. And then on Sunday Night Football at San Francisco. But yeah, the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, I think, really have a big chip on their shoulder. Number 6 is the Tennessee Titans. They're 5-2 on the season. Their 2 losses were at the Jets in a game which they didn't have Julio Jones and A.J. Brown, and then they lost bad at home against the Cardinals in Week 1, which now looks like one of the better wins on Arizona's schedule if you're making the case for Arizona being a real contender. That win looks like a landmark win for the Cardinals right now, or close to it. And the Titans have some monster wins on their schedule. Home KC last week. Home Buffalo on Monday night the prior week. At Seattle with Russell Wilson is a monster win. I don't care that they're 2-4. Seattle had Russell Wilson in that game. That's a big win. If you beat Russell Wilson, that is a big win. I don't care what anybody says. Seahawks are 2-5, but they're 2-5 because Russell Wilson's hurt. Because the Seahawks would have won their last 2 games if Russell Wilson was there. Ran over. And the Titans' other 2 wins were at Jacksonville and home Indy. Number 5, the Dallas Cowboys. They are 5-1 on the season after losing opening night to the Bucs They've rattled off 5 straight. They're a couple ways away from being 6-0. But their wins are not all that great, let's be honest. Home Giants in a game where Daniel Jones and company got hurt. Daniel Jones got hurt in that game. Saquon Barkley got hurt in that game. Kenny Golladay got hurt in that game. Everybody on the Giants got hurt in that game. Home Carolina. Carolina stinks, we think, now. And Darnold just got benched. At the Chargers, that's a good win. We'll give the Cowboys that one. But people are making the case Cowboys 5-1 is a fluke. People are saying that because Panthers fell apart and then the Chargers lost that game against the Ravens a couple weeks ago. So, but still, at the Chargers is a good win. I still think the Chargers are a good team. At the Patriots, that was a character win for the Cowboys. I don't think the Patriots are very good, but that, to me, is a character win because he went and beat Bill Belichick at Bill Belichick in a game which they probably should have lost and probably deserved to lose. And then their other win was on Monday Night Football at home against the Eagles, and they blew them out. And they did really run up the score on the Giants in Philly. They really did, just to make themselves look so great. And Trayvon Diggs, by the way, has just been a monster on defense for them with all those interceptions. Number 4, the Buffalo Bills are 4-2 on the season, coming off a bye. Their losses were week 1 at home against Pittsburgh, and then their last game at Tennessee. Their wins at Miami, which they own Miami. Home Washington football team, home Texans, and then the big win at Sunday night at the Chiefs. Number 3 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are your reigning Super Bowl champs and are 6-1 on the season. Their lone loss came at the Rams. Not the worst loss in the world. Just Aaron Donald was the best player on the field in that game. And then their wins. Home Cowboys opening night. That looks like a good win. They killed the Bears. They killed the Falcons. They killed the Dolphins. And their 2 other wins came at the Eagles on the Thursday night game and at the Patriots in the return game for Tom Brady. And they probably should have lost to the Patriots. Number 2 is the Los Angeles Rams, who are 6-1 on the season. Their one loss came at home against the Cardinals. And then their 6 wins, they beat the Lions barely. They killed the Giants. They beat the Bucs, which I think was their best win. They beat the Bears on Sunday Night Football in the opener. They beat Seattle in the game where Russell Wilson got hurt. And then I want to say they beat San Francisco, which was their 6th win, but I could be wrong here. It was a win over the Colts in Indy. Okay, yeah, I forgot about that game in week 2. And number 1, the undefeated Arizona Cardinals at 7-0. I mean, if you're undefeated through more than 6 weeks, you deserve to be number 1. They have some great landmark wins on their schedule already. They have a signature win at the Rams, a signature win now looking back at the Titans. Those are 2 fabulous wins by Arizona. They probably should have lost to the Vikings, but a win's a win. The Vikings aren't bad, so that's a good win. They killed the Texans like they're supposed to. They beat the 49ers by 7. That was a wacky game. A low-scoring game. That was just very weird. And then their other pair of wins came at the Jaguars and at the Browns. But at the Browns, that really doesn't look like a fabulous win because Baker got hurt in that game. But still, a win's a win. They're 7-0. They're probably going to make the postseason. But part of me wonders if this is the Rabbit team. There's always that team that gets off to a great start and then they fall apart in the second half of the year. It's been Las Vegas the last 2 years. And I think that the most likely candidates are the Cardinals in the NFC and the Cincinnati Bengals in the AFC. Unless it's the Raiders again. But John Gruden's not there anymore, so maybe it won't be them. All right, so there you have it for the NFL Power Rankings for the week. And now I'm going to go over the latest news and notes. There's not a lot today. Not really a big news day. There's a lot of fun going on in the Manning Brothers broadcast. They had Tom Brady on last night, and he did not like facing Eli Manning. I enjoyed much more of the games I played against Peyton, he said. That's because his teams always did well against Peyton. Like, Tom Brady owned the Colts. When Peyton was on Indy, they always beat the Colts. Ken Griffey joins Mariners ownership as chairman. John Stanton announces that Griffey has bought shares and will join club's partnership group. Then one more highlight on the Manning telecast. Marshawn Lynch told the Manning brothers that he had 3-shot minimum before joining them on their telecast tonight. So that's funny. We talked about Devontae Adams being on the COVID list during the power ranking segment, so he won't be playing in that Cardinals game on Thursday night, which is brutal. A fan crashes the Ravens radio booth as the broadcast caught audio of a fan trying to climb into the booth yesterday looking for a drink. That's weird. Milestone goal for Austin Matthews as he hits goal number 200 as he becomes the fastest U.S.-born player to reach 200 career goals. Former NHL player Colin Wilson opens up about addiction in the Players' Tribune. I was scoring goals, playing in a cup final, but I was an addict. That was what he said, and it's a very interesting column. I suggest you guys read it, but hopefully Colin Wilson is doing well. And, that's just an inspiring story, and hopefully people learn from it, because addiction's not good, obviously. So, Colin Wilson, good on him for opening up, and hopefully, like I said, he's well. Jets acquired Joe Flacco from the Eagles for a 6th-round pick following Zach Wilson's injury, so Joe Flacco will probably be starting for the Jets on Sunday over Mike White. The Rams and the Broncos make a trade as Kenny Young goes to Denver, and teams also swap late 2024 picks. So Denver trying to keep themselves competitive here with that trade. Anthony Rizzo hopes to stay with the Yankees as family member says that Rizzo is quite eager to resign with the Yankees this offseason. Hopefully he does resign. I thought he was a great fit for them. And he had COVID, and that kind of screwed him up a little bit, I think. And then he hit that big home run in the wild card game to at least get them going, but ultimately they fell to Boston. Texas Tech fires head coach Matt Wells as the Red Raiders let go of Wells, effective immediately after 3 seasons. That is bizarre. Texas Tech, if I'm not mistaken, is 5-3. Why? That's awful. Matt Wells, I thought, was doing a nice job this season. Why? What a dysfunctional freaking program, man. What a mess. That's awful. I feel bad for Matt Wells. He deserves another chance. Carson Palmer was on the Dan Patrick Show, and the conversation was about the head coaching job at USC. As he said that USC has interest in Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin for its open job. Wow. If Mike Tomlin goes to USC and leaves the Steelers, that would be something. I don't think that would happen, but that is something I certainly was not expecting. I mean, James Franklin's in the mix there, and those rumors are going to start, and I think that's really affecting Penn State's play other than the loss of their quarterback. So, we'll see about that. So, 2 Pennsylvania head coaches, one in college and one in the NFL, rumored for USC. You're hearing everybody under the sun's name for USC. Urban Meyer, obviously, who is presumptively the favorite, but he's at Jacksonville. We'll see. But yeah, if you ask me who's going to be the next head coach at USC, I would guess it's Urban Meyer right now. I think he leaves the Jaguars. He's one and done. They part ways. He goes to USC, and then they hire like Eric Bieniemy or something like that. Chris Letang tests positive for COVID-19 and is in the NHL's protocol. That is a big loss for the Penguins' defense. Letang was playing well for them, and they're a good start. And they're supposed to get Sidney Crosby back soon as well. So, we'll see how this all shakes out and how long Letang will be out for. We talked about Zach Wilson and his injury. He's out likely 2 to 4 weeks with a sprained PCL. Can miss up to a month. So, that's just brutal for the Jets and his young rookie season and his development. So hopefully he's back sooner rather than later. Nick Chubb expected to be back on Sunday against the Steelers, so that's good news. And bad news for the Patriots. Cornerback Jonathan Jones out for the season and is getting shoulder surgery. That is a big loss for the Patriots secondary, who is actually playing okay this year. And the college basketball preseason All-America team is out. So that's out, and then the AP poll's out. We didn't even get to the AP poll yet. The season's starting soon. I have to get into all that stuff and the projections and whatnot. So Gonzaga forward Drew Timme was a unanimous selection. And also Illinois center Kofi Cockburn, UCLA guard Johnny Jazang, Villanova guard Colin Gillespie, and Indiana forward Trace Jackson Davis. That is your 5. Obviously, Timme was unanimous. The rest of them are not. And number 1 in the AP poll is Gonzaga, and we'll get into the rest on a later date. All right, Dancing with the Stars last night. The theme of the week was horror performances. As each pair did a routine inspired by a horror film or TV series. First up was The Miz and Whitney. They did a Paso Doble dance to Wicked Games by Reagan. And they got a 34. And that is obviously from Hellraiser. Kenya and Brandon did an Argentine tango routine to Take My Breath by The Weeknd, inspired by arachnophobia, and they got a 32. JoJo and Jenna did a jazz routine to Anything Goes by District 78 featuring Patrice Covington from It and got a perfect score of 40. Cody and Cheryl did a cha-cha-cha dance to There Will Be Blood by Kim Petras from American Psycho and got a 36. Jimmy and Emma did a contemporary routine to Say Something by Daniel Jang from A Quiet Place and got a 38. Olivia and Val did a Paso Doble dance to Beggin' by Maneskin from The Purge and got a 36. Melora and Artem did a jive dance to Hound Dog by Elvis Presley from Cujo and got a 34. Amon and Daniela did a contemporary number to I Got 5 on It, the Tethered Mix by Lunez featuring Michael Marshall from Us and got a perfect 40. Sonny and Sasha did a tango dance to Bad Habits by Ed Sheeran from The Vampire Diaries and got a 36. And Amanda and Alan did an Argentine tango dance to Painted Black by Ciara from Saw and got a 38. The judges' votes to save. Carrie Ann Inaba voted to save Sonny and Sasha, as well as Derek Huff and Bruno Tonioli, but Len Goodman, the head judge, did not vote to save anybody, but if he did, he would have voted for Sonny and Sasha. And who got eliminated? It was Kenya and Brandon, who did that dance to Take My Breath by The Weeknd. I did not think they deserved to go. I thought everybody did great this week. I gotta be honest. I thought everyone did amazing. And it's just unfortunate that Kenya and Brandon got the lowest number score. As in result, they were sent home. And the pair that I thought should have potentially went home. I mean, I know The Miz is very entertaining, but I thought they had a shot to go home. Cody and Cheryl, I mean, like, everybody did good. Melora and Artem did Hound Dog. It was a fun dance, but I felt that even they had a shot to go home, but it was tough. It was very, very hard week, and the next week is going to be a fun show too, as they are going to be doing Queen Night, which is going to be a ton of fun. All right, last but not least, my best bet of the day, brought to you by FanDuel. For my best bet of the show tonight, I'm going to go to the NBA. And I'm going to take the Golden State Warriors minus the 9.5 at Oklahoma City. I just think that they're going to kill them. And they're the better team. 1 unit tonight on minus 9.5 for Golden State at Oklahoma City. All right, that's it for today's show. I'll be back later tonight with my friend Steve. He was on the show twice. Last time he was on was in May. We did talk some hockey playoffs. He's a big hockey guy. We'll talk some hockey. Maybe we'll do a little bit of hockey betting at the end of the show. We'll see. So, looking forward to that. Make sure to tune into that show. And obviously, I'll be back tomorrow as well, recapping everything from tonight, looking ahead to tomorrow as well. And then no Masked Singer this week because of the World Series. But maybe at some point this week I'll get into the sing-along show. If not, I'll just talk about it on next week's show. Alrighty, hope you guys have a great day, everyone.